Hey yo, what is going on guys? Cash and Clean here, and for today's video I just wanted to talk about the Runecrafting bench and how to complete it as fast as possible. Shoutouts to Cam River, by the way, if you're watching this video, shoutouts to you. If you know, you know. But anyway, Runecrafting bench, it has been completely reworked, so everything that was in here before is still in there, they just added more things to it. And before you just needed things like shapestone, radiant shards, just like super basic items. It was super easy to complete, but they went on ahead and added an extra tier. I'm just going to call these tiers. And the thing with this bench is that it actually kind of makes sense now. So this is like the Runecrafting bench, and everything in here is rune related, whereas before it was just like minor mastery things, so like standard blocks, just like block recipes, the styles for your weapons, all that stuff. And they went on ahead and added runes, which kind of makes sense, but at the same time, the amount of resources and just the time it takes to complete this bench is really annoying. But anyway, I'm just going to get straight on to the point here. So rune slates and standard block recipes. What you want to do is craft these rune slates, 50 of them, so you can unlock the next tab. And you want to do that for each tab. And to craft the rune slates, you'll just need blocks. You most likely will have these blocks. Glim, on the other hand, you can probably just get from the hub. You're going to want to go to the fishing area to do that. Or if you just break a bunch of pinatas, you'll probably get glim from that anyway. Anyway, once you craft 50 things, you'll unlock the dabbler tab. Now, to move on to enthusiast, you have to craft 50 things from here, and you can't go back to craft more things here to unlock like a future one, like this one, for example. So you have to craft 50 here, then 50 here, and then 50 here, going all the way to the end. Anyway, next up we got the dabbler tab. So we have some rune papers. You're gonna need these later on, but something to note here is that you're gonna want to go for these blank runes. Now, I'm only saying this if you're like completely brand new to the game, but if you're more like a mid-game, end-game player and you have a bunch of resources, then you'll most likely be able to complete everything up to this point, which you'll be able to craft 50 things from here to unlock the depths Carver. I'll get into this section in just a little bit, but basically this empty rune and this blank rune are the same exact thing, except the empty rune gives you a little bit more fragments. Now, whenever I do it, it's not really that much of a difference. And the thing about these runes is that it'll go to your auto use spot. So I have 800 empty runes here. And whenever I do a dungeon, there's a chance that these will break. I'm pretty sure the cooldown on these is like 40 seconds or something like that. Don't take my word on that exact number. I just kind of threw a random number out there. But just know that there is a cooldown. It's not a super long cooldown or anything, but something like that does exist. But like I was saying, these will go to your auto use spot, so if you had food in there before, you're gonna have to get rid of that, unfortunately. And the idea with these runes is that you want to go complete dungeons, and you want these to break. That's the key thing, because whenever they break, you will get the fragments. And you will need a ton of fragments, and I'll get into that later on, but you're gonna need a lot of them. Another thing that I've seen people use is this metallic one in delves. So basically the thing with this one is that it'll break whenever you take damage, or you might just be farming in general. So if you don't like one-shot things, or if you take a lot of time doing whatever it may be, so farming or doing delves, doing 5-star dungeons, wherever you take damage, if you do take damage, this will break. There's a chance for it to break. There's a cooldown, so obviously keep that in mind. You can't just stand like AFK in front of an enemy and just expect to break all of your runes to get the fragments. It's not that easy, unfortunately. So I've heard good things about using this in delves, but I prefer using the empty runes. We'll get into that later on though. But in terms of efficiency, I would craft 25 of the rune paper and 25 of the blank runes. And then once you get the blank runes, you want to equip that so you can do dungeons and then break them to get the fragments. And then that's going to add up to 50, so we can go on to the enthusiast tab. So from this tab, it's not going to matter too much on what you craft in terms of these two. If you go to the blocks, for example, they're kind of pricey. You don't want to do that one. And then eventually you're going to want to get these for the mastery. That is, if you're going to go for max mastery or the 500 trove mastery for the potential output there. But anyway, it doesn't really matter too much on which one of these you do craft. But what you could do is, if you have high magic find, you can just craft this one. And if you don't have high magic find, you can craft this one, which is just from fishing. Whenever you fish in the pool, it'll have a chance for it to break. Also, I haven't really tried the secondary effect for this, which is getting the marks of the angler whenever you complete a dungeon. I don't really know how efficient that is, but maybe you guys could let me know. Either way, doesn't really matter what you craft. They're both going to be about the same thing, just different resources. So whatever you do have on your hands, you can just craft that. And we already talked about how to get the rune paper and the rune slates. That's going to be in the previous tabs, but we have something here called the rune fragments. So this is only going to require one. You'll need 50 to unlock the next one, as both of these do require that, but you're going to see this a little bit later on. So after you crafted 50 things from here to unlock Inscriber, we have a few things here to look at. So Rune Slate Air is going to require rune fragments, air gem dust, and rune slates. So these aren't too terrible to craft. You're probably going to want to go for the Rune Slate Airs because later on you're going to need them for this, which is the new 450 lights, I guess, auto use spot that you can use. I was going to say food, but it's not really food, it's just a rune. but it takes up the spot for the food. But it is going to cost you rune fragments. If you don't want to use up your rune fragments, because you will need a ton of those, this will help save you a little bit. So instead of crafting those, what you could do is go to the hat vault style stash or the mask vault one. Doesn't really matter which one, they're both the same exact thing in terms of what you need to craft them. You will need more shapestone, you will need more rune paper and slates. So when you go back to like rune slate air, for example, this is only going to require one. So basically, if you don't mind spending 500 of each of these, then you can go ahead and craft these. That is, if you just have a bunch of, I guess, blocks and glims lying around to craft a bunch of those. And doing this will save you the rune fragments, but it'll be a little bit more beneficial if you just went for the rune slate airs, because you'll need that later on anyway. So you'll just have to get some rune fragments. It'll only cost you 1 rune slate. And then the air gem dust isn't really too hard to get. So if you don't want to farm 250 rune fragments, that's totally fine. You don't have to get this one. I'm just saying that it'll be a little bit more beneficial to do that for this repel rune. So the alternative would be the hat vault style stash. It'll just cost you a little bit more rune paper and rune slates, 500 to be exact, but at least you'll be saving some rune fragments because you'll need a ton of those and every little bit counts. So once you get 50 things in there crafted, you'll go to the next tier for Rune Carver, and we have a bunch of things in here. So we have a similar situation. We have all of these stashes. Same deal, for whatever reason, it's 10 for those and 50 shapestones. So basically the same exact thing as what it is in here. I don't know why they can't just move all of that stuff in here in this tab, but it is here if you want to do that same exact thing. And if you went the other route, if you crafted the rune slate airs, then you can end up crafting the repel rune. So if you ended up crafting 50 of those in here, you can craft the 50 that you got from those in here to get the repel rune 450 light auto use spot. And I have no idea why they even included these. These don't even compete with the repel rune over here with 450 lights. The effects on these are kind of interesting, but realistically 450 light is a lot better. And the thing that sucks about this is that you're gonna have to farm so many rune fragments that you're not going to be able to use these that often, because you're going to have a bunch of empty runes or some other type of rune that'll help you farm whatever you need, so more fragments for example. And the thing that sucks about these runes is that every time you're hit, according to the description here, that'll break this rune, and it's a chance and it's on a cooldown, so keep that in mind. You just know that you can't spam this over and over and just stand by an enemy and get hit to get the rune fragments. Plus, it's not really that efficient because you'll end up having to spend rune fragments to even craft this thing. But in terms of just getting the level, if you ended up crafting 50 from here, you can end up using that 50 to get the repel rune. But if not, then you can go through the other route, which is crafting the vault style stashes, and it'll be the same jazz over here that you did in Inscriber. But anyway, once you have crafted 50 things in here to get the levels, you'll be able to go to the Runic Master over here, and we have empty runes. Now, the other stuff is going to be more costly. Don't want to do this one. Maybe you want to get the tome or the mastery items at some point, but the main thing here to look at is the empty runes. Now, this is going to be super easy to craft. You can craft 50 things in here pretty easily. Rune slates we already talked about. Cosmic gem dust, you can easily get that, so not too much of an issue. And these are going to be the good ones. So as you complete dungeons, you'll get rune fragments. It's going to be a little bit more than the blank ones, which will be this one over here. So anyway, once you craft 50 of those, you can just equip them, do some dungeons, do whatever you need to get the rune fragments, and it should be pretty easy. You'll be able to go to the next one, which is Carver. So if you go into here, everything's pretty costly. So we have Zephyr Essence, which that's pretty hard to get. The Rune Slate Airs, which that's kind of annoying because you're gonna have to go back here and craft those. We got Deep Stone, basically everything else that you will need later on, especially for the mastery items, and then for upgrading your gear, because there's the Deep Stone. And it's basically the same thing with these ones. It's gonna require some different stuff here. So we got the Essence. So I don't really recommend doing those. The Anvil you could have if you are just putting it in your club world, but chances are you might just join a club that already has one, or you could just go into Longshade Biome and just use the ones that are there. You just want to go to the appropriate biome, find the ship, and you'll be able to use the one there. But anyway, we go back here. You probably won't have the Swift rune because you'll have to get it from the Anvil, and you probably won't have this one either, which is also from the Anvil. And I'm going to show you where to get that in just a second. But when it comes to the Carver, this is going to be the best one to craft. It'll be just 15, but you have to craft this 50 times. But this is going to be the best one and easier one to craft, because you definitely don't want to be wasting these resources, especially the Zephyr Essence or just any of the essences, for example. So it'll cost you 15 to get the unbreakable runes. And the cool thing about this unbreakable rune, so basically if we go to this example over here for the repel rune, it's the 450 lights rune over here that'll go to your auto use spot. And the thing with these runes is that they break, and then when they break they give you fragments. And the moment you craft the unbreakable one, it basically just gives you a buff for an entire hour where the runes do not break. So you will not be able to break your current runes, and they will not give you fragments. So if you're trying to farm the fragments, I do not recommend putting this on. But however, if you are trying to keep the rune for an hour, then this will be a pretty good buff for you to have. I wish it was a little bit longer than an hour, or a way to like turn it on or back off or something like that. But either way, an hour is pretty long, and the moment you craft this, it instantly goes up here. I have a UI mod, but I'm pretty sure even without the UI mod, it should show up there. Or if you just go to your buffs from your character sheet, it'll show that you have it on for an hour. And the cool thing about this is that, say you put this on and then your mom comes into your room and asks you to help with the groceries, and then after the groceries you have to go walk your dog, and then after you walk your dog you realize that you don't even have a dog. Then your sister decides to come over with her friends and asks you to socialize, and after all that the entire hour goes away. The cool thing about this is that when you log off of Trove, the time that you're left at will stay exactly the same. So if you just crafted this and then you close Trove, for example, you will still have that entire hour to use this thing. So the hour only runs out if you have Trove open. Now, to even have this appear, I'm going to go over to the rune anvil and show you. Alright, so here we have a rune anvil. I'm going to open that up. And the thing about this, I'm going to go over this entirely in a different video. But the thing that you want to do from here is from the starting point, you want to go left. And this is where you get the unbreakable rune. Now, if you saw runes that I had in my Runecrafting bench that you didn't see, then that means that I got it from this rune anvil. So what you want to do is go over here, get some rune fragments from the empty runes that we talked about before, and once those break, it'll give you rune fragments. You'll be able to unlock this node over here. And just like it says, 300 skill, the depths Carver, the unbreakable rune, and then it lasts for an entire hour. Alright, so hopefully that makes sense. So craft 50 of those, and we'll be able to go over to the depths binder. Now, this one is a little bit more tricky, but I believe in you guys. This is the final one. Then we'll have the depths Runic Master, the final one. But basically, we have another thing in here that when you complete a dungeon, it gives you more runes. Now, these are a little bit better, but they're a little bit more costly as well, because you'll need Runic Essence. This is going to be super annoying to get. And then we have this thing over here, which is basically just a plant in the Sundred Uplands biome. So in the link in the description below, I'm going to put up a schedule of when you can expect to find the certain biome that you need. So for Sundred Uplands, for example, it's going to show up at 4 a.m. my time. And if you're curious, this is what it's going to look like. And obviously, big special thanks to the people that helped out here. And then shoutouts to Sly or Alien, you know who you are. But anyway, the moment you open this up, it's going to open in your time zone, depending on if your current clock for your computer is accurate. And I'll do a quick little explanation for this. So basically, right now at this current time, we have Permafrost, Faith Forest, and Dragonfire Peaks. And every 3 hours, the biomes will rotate. And this is going to be the set schedule every single time for every single day. And if there's a biome that you need, so let's look at Sundred Uplands, for example, you can just hover over it and it'll highlight in purple when it's going to show up. So Sundred Uplands is going to show up at 19. So if you don't know the 24-hour clock, basically I'll just give you a short little tutorial about it. So here we got 10 a.m. This is going to be 1 p.m. So if you don't know, just from 12 o'clock, just count upwards from there. So from 12, how to get to 13 is just you add 1. So this is 1 p.m. So from 12, this is 4 p.m. And then from 12, this is 10 p.m. So hopefully that makes sense. And then the lower numbers here, this is just going to be the AM portion. So right now, this one would be 19. And for me, it's 7 p.m. at the moment. So just in case you didn't know how to use the 24-hour clock, now you do. And a couple of things to note in here that you might find interesting. I'm not sure how often you're going to make use of this, but basically there's like a little legend here. So the mountain looking thing is the size/existence of the caves. So if you don't know, the current surface of these biomes will have a cave system underneath, and basically the color is just going to be how good it is. So if we look at the diamonds, for example, this is just going to be the rate of farming the ores, like the new ones, for example. So if you don't see one, that means it's really bad, and then the gold ones are going to be really good. So Sundred Uplands, if you're trying to farm ore over there, it's going to be a really good chance of finding the ore, because that means it's going to be like pretty close to each other and a lot of it. Not like a super huge amount, but like, you know what I mean. They're going to be next to each other, so you'll have a good chance of getting a lot. And then obviously for Sundred Uplands, there really is no cave system. It's like the top section and the bottom section, and there's like no cave thing there. So anyway, hopefully all of that makes sense. This will be linked in the description down below. And that is going to be how to get the plant. So you want to wait until this is on rotation. You can just check the description if you're not sure on what these are. The radiated rune fragments are going to be from Sundred Uplands. And if we go to the other ones, for example, they're going to require different resources. I'll talk about that in just a second. And then Runic Essence. So the way these work is that you can get these all the time. It's just pretty annoying to farm. And whatever rotation it is, you can go to whatever biome you want to. Once you get 100 plants, you can go to the ship. Okay, I don't know what's going on over here. But anyway, you want to go over to the ship, which is in this direction. Basically just want to look for those outposts over there on the map. And just like I was mentioning, if you go up here, there's the rune anvil. and in case you need it, the Runecrafting bench is over there as well. So if you take a look at this bench, you'll find this in every single biome. So whatever biome you end up going to over here, you'll find these outposts. It just won't work in the blue one because that's just like the spawn area. So just go to one of the 3 biomes, find the ship, and then if we open up the bench, we'll find the runic essence. So in this particular biome, I'm in Fey Forest, so it wants me to get 100 of these depths mana. So once you get 100, you can craft 1 runic essence. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty terrible. Like, it's so bad that you just don't want to do this because you're mainly just going to want to get them from these trunks. I'll talk about how to get these in a different video, but your best bet is just going to be from these trunks. Otherwise, it's going to take you a little bit of time to farm the runic essence. It's not like a super huge amount of time, but getting 100 plants and then coming back just to craft 1 of these, just to go up 1 level, is a little bit annoying, but you also need 10 of these, so that's also pretty annoying. And the thing that sucks about this section is that if you go to the other stuff, so chocolate algae, that's going to be the plant in the Candoria biome. Cinnabark, that's for Forbidden Spires, and then we have the Zephyr Coil, that's for the Weathered Wasteland biome, which I think is Geotopside, but I could be mistaken on that. And then Cursed Coral is for Cursed Veil biome. Anyway, you get the point, each one is for a specific biome. And the next thing below that is going to be the essence. So here we got Pyric, here we got Pyric. So it's just going to be kind of sectioned out. So here we got Zephyr, then we got the Runic Essence, and then we got the Abyssal Essence. So it's going to be like that for all of these, and getting them is going to be super annoying. So I'll go over how to get those. So like I mentioned, those trunks are going to be your best bet of actually even finishing this mastery stuff, but even getting these trunks is going to be super difficult. I'll just go over that in a different video for you guys. Yo, there's a bird on my window. Wait, can I take a picture? Oh, okay, wait, never mind. Never mind, it left. I can't take the picture. Either way, you're gonna have to take my word for it. There's a bird on my window. It looked pretty cool. Anyway, to get this so-called essence, so I talked about how to get the runic essence, and as far as the other ones go, we want to go over here to this bench, go over here to the collections, and this is where it's going to get a little bit more annoying, but it's not as annoying, but it is kind of annoying. So as you can see from the description, this one grants a chance for Abyssal Essence to be obtained when opening dungeon chests. This is going to be a really good one, so it's a rare chance for Depths Core and Solve the Depths to be obtained. And this is for defeating enemies in the Delve biome, the Depths Delve biome. And then here, this alloy is for Pyric Essence, and then this one over here is for Zephyr Essence. Now, if you can't get a hold of these, there is an alternative, but it's going to cost you credits. So whether you have credit pouches or if you actually buy it in game. If I go over here to the new tab, it's going to be the Chummy Chums pack. So I'm just going to go to a random ally in here. So the Tesla Turtle, as you can see, it does these same exact things. So I guess the devs are trying to be a little bit more helpful in case you couldn't get those allies, so we can get them here. But this is still pretty terrible. This is only for 1 essence, and it's not even guaranteed. It says it grants you a chance, and I'm pretty sure the chance with these ones compared to the alloys in the bench are going to be the exact same. At least that's what it feels like for me whenever I farm with either one of those. And this is just for the Pyric. It's going to be the same thing if you just use one of the other alloys that it mentions in here. And I can't really tell you the exact amount. This was either 1500 or 3500 credits. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was somewhere around there. So as you're farming your runic fragments and stuff like that, you can throw on the ally, try to find a group for the delves, or try to find a group for the 5-star dungeons, or just farm dungeons. And there's going to be a chance for you to get the essence. And the thing with the essence is that you're going to need 15, which is super annoying for these ones. And then if you have the runic ones, that's just going to be 10. So your best bet is probably just going to be farming the plants. The plants will take you like 5 minutes to get 100, like 10 minutes tops. It shouldn't take you no more than 10 minutes, but you'll find the plants pretty easily. Like there's 2 right over here. Just break it or shoot it or go over it with a mount, whatever the case is. There's one over there. Either way, farm 100, then come back here to this bench, and then you can go ahead and craft the runic essence, and you can keep repeating that until you get however many you need. Now if you go with the box method, now I'm going to open up the 15 and I'm going to show you guys an example of what to expect when you open up these boxes. So I'll just do this one at a time, and as you can see, you can get the essence from this and a bunch of other things, which is pretty cool. I personally need Soul of the Depths. I didn't get a Soul of the Depth, but either way, that's what you can expect to get when you open up these boxes over here. I'm not 100% certain on how often you get those trunks, but I usually get mine from Delves, and there's another one that I'm currently working on. I'm about to get that from the anvil, and I'm going to go over this anvil in a future video. I'll get into that in more details, but basically if you go over here to this section, it says that it'll grant you a chance to find these encrusted runic trunks when you open surface depth caches and the Runic Depths vaults. So what that means is that every time you open up a 5-star dungeon box, so with the keys, once you complete the 5-star at the very end back in the middle of that area, but like wherever you started it, there's gonna be a box. You open that and there's a chance that you can get some of those trunks, the boxes there. And same with the delves, just do 3 floors, and then on the 3rd floor you're gonna find the shadowy vaults. It's gonna look a little bit different. It's kind of like a pumpkin. You'll open up that with a key. Pretty sure you can just use regular keys with this one. You don't have to do anything fancy with the sparkling keys. So just use your regular keys and you'll have a chance of getting them. But that's gonna be pretty far and you'll need a ton of the rune fragments. But that's also another way of getting the runic trunks. But by the time you get here, you're basically gonna be done with this bench over here, most likely. But anyway, whenever I did this, I crafted about half of these and half of all of the other items. So I randomly got trunks, and what I did is, while I was using the ally for the pyric essence, I was just able to use that to craft some of those, for example. And then I crafted some of these. It was a little bit scuffed, but I ended up getting my 50 levels and then made it to the final tab, where it's just the tomes. But if you want to take my advice, I would just say do this. It's going to take you about 5 minutes or so to get all of the plants in that specific biome. Go over here and craft the runic essence. And this is assuming you can't get the trunks. And at the moment, there isn't really a super good way of farming these trunks. They're super terrible, the drop rates, since they got nerfed. But if there is a super good way of farming them in the future, I will be sure to let you guys know. But in the meantime, that's the best way of getting this section done. And just in case you guys were curious, when you read the description for these, it seems like a complete waste, because if we take a look at this, it says it produces 10 of the chocolate algae when it's fully charged. And what that means is it's basically like the tome. So if you know these tomes, this one says it's 90% charged. I'm pretty close to finishing the tome. It's gonna be the same thing with this, so just do dungeons, do whatever you would normally do to complete your tomes, and then you're gonna end up finishing this. It'll give you the 10, it gives you 1, which is pretty annoying. So basically what happens here is that you use 15, and then if you finish this, it'll give you 10, so you'll be -5 in profit, which sounds terrible, but you can look at this in a different way. You can use these as like a storage system, which is still terrible, but just in case if you do need these, you can use the leaflets for that reason. These are called leaflets. So if we take a look at this, the 15 of the chocolate algae here, that's going to be the plants in the Kandorian biome. The idea of this is that you go ahead and you can farm up the plants. I would just go for 100 and then come back here and craft these. Now I'm just talking outside of the whole leveling this up 50 times to unlock this section. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent here just in case if you want to know what these are about. But like I mentioned, you would farm 100 plants, craft as many of these as you can, and then go back and re-farm 100 plants and craft these again. You will need the pyric essence, so that's gonna be super annoying. And then the rune paper, we already talked about how to get that. And if you kind of get where I'm going at here, you can keep crafting this over and over, and at some later part in the future, and just in case you need these chocolate algae again, and whenever it's like not in rotation, just so you don't have to wait for it to come back in rotation, you'll have these leaflets, and then you can keep on using those as a tome. It'll go to your auto use spot, and then once you complete it, you'll get the 10 back. So just think of it as like a little storage system, just in case you don't want to wait for the current biome thing. So just so you don't have to wait the 3 hours or however many hours it is for the biome that you need to show up. So hopefully all of that makes sense. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comments down below. I'll be sure to answer it. And once you're done with this section over here, you can finally finish the runecrafting bench. You'll have these tomes, which are super beneficial. I recommend getting these because these tomes will give you 35 rune fragments each. And you might be wondering, what do you mean by 35 fragments each? Only one of the tomes do that, which is this one. So at the moment, at the time of me recording this, the tomes are a little bit broken. And what I mean by that is that these don't give you the 5 runic vault keys that it says it does. For whatever reason, this update has been out for a couple weeks already. And I've mentioned this in a bunch of my videos already. But this goes to show that the devs do not play their game. So this tome over here gives you 35 rune fragments. This tome also gives you 35 rune fragments instead of the 5 vault keys that it's supposed to give you. So if I go here, for example, both of these tomes, if I just click on them, do the exact same thing. So just to show you guys, I'll go here and then click on this one. As you can see, it's 35. And then if we click on the bottom one over here, it also says 35. So when you complete both of these, you get a total of 70 instead of the 35. So I don't know if you can consider this as cheating because it's not even my fault at all. It's not a repeatable tome, unfortunately. You can only do it once a week. But the 70 is a little bit, but every little bit counts because you need a ton of rune fragments and it is super annoying to get them. This entire update alone is super demotivating to play, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was like the complete downfall of Trove because I haven't really seen many people farming the new Delve biome or even 5-star dungeons for that matter. I hardly even see my friends online on Trove anymore, they're just playing other games now. So that just goes to show how terrible this entire update is, but don't worry, I'm still going to be here giving you guys tutorials, all the information the best I can give you guys, and maybe at some point together we can finish this update. But anyway, that's going to be everything for today's video. Like I said, if you do have any questions, please drop it down in the comments down below. I'll do my best to answer that for you. And if you're confused about something related to this update, I'll also do my best to cover that in future videos because I already have all of that planned out. So stay tuned for that. And if you're watching from the future, then the videos are probably already out. And if you're watching from even further into the future, maybe this game is already dead and doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, thank you all so much for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing. And if you could, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content. And on that note, I'll talk to you all later.